Anything that you want to know in this place, all you have to do is ask it. Ask it in your mind or ask it out loud, and the answer will be given to you. It doesn't matter.
And you don't like logic and reason. That doesn't happen. You just know that you know. It's like having truth automatically all the time.
It's like the place had a kind of intelligence. You knew whatever you want to know about it. It was easy to understand. And first I understood it, I thought, this is death. This is the absolute absence of life.
You're able to still feel exactly the fear that you felt and still have a bunch of this knowledge about where you are. I asked myself, I said, what am I in hell? Even though even in my own knowledge, I knew I was in hell. I had the knowledge that I was in hell. I had the knowledge that everyone here was in hell.
You're in hell, you know you're in hell. It's just like a knowledge that you have. And immediately my mind tried to hide from that reality, like not wanting to accept it. I'm dreaming, I'm sleeping, this is a nightmare, I'm hallucinating. But in hell, you can't lie to yourself. Like, I remember it just cut right through all the lies, the realization, no, you're in hell. You are in hell.
I knew exactly where I was at. I knew it was hell. I just felt it.
There's this curious feeling that I'm out of time. Time isn't there. There's a distinct feeling of its absence. It's like you wouldn't know whether 10,000 years had passed or a second, or there is no sense of that time is passing. It's like there's no end to it.
As long as you and I are walking around here, we're always conscious, tick, 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 tick of time. We get up in the morning, go to bed at night. We're conscious on the physical plane. Everything is related to time, but everything in the spirit is related to eternity.
I knew and I understood I could not get out. And not only that I couldn't get out, but that I was here forever. I understood that I am absent of time and this place goes on forever, forever. And I understood that.
Yeah, I saw people on their knees praying and they were on fire. They were praying and their bodies were on fire, asking God to forgive them and to let them out.
People are burning. There's been people burning there for many, many, many years, hundreds of years.
There were thousands of people inside this pit screaming and burning. It was so horrendous to see a person on fire. They just looked like skeletons.
Flesh burns. They burn, they burn, they burn, and the flesh falls. And when it's done, your flesh starts growing back on you. And then the flames start again. And I also seen maggots crawling through your flesh. And they're eating you.
I saw a man inside there laying down, and I saw these worms. They just appeared from nowhere, covered him, ate his flesh off, went back into the ground again, and he was a skeleton. Then the flesh came back on the skeleton again, then the worms appeared again, ate off his flesh, and disappeared again. And it kept on going over and over and over again.
Like hanging, burning flesh, and worms crawling through that. And they could feel the worms, and they would scream and pull the worms out.
The demons reached down there and reached in her mouth, ripped out her tongue, just actually took her skin and just peeled it off. It was really slow and agonizing to shreds until nothing to the skeletons. Then they took the bones and broke the bones. And she felt everything. Then her body would come back together. The flesh would come back together. And she'd be whole again, and it would start all over again. A different scene would happen.
You're ripped apart and you feel every inch of it, and then you come back together. Then it happens again.
The one picked me up, threw me into the wall of this prison cell. I hit the wall. I felt like bones had broken, and I wondered how could I be alive through this. The other demon picked me up, dug his claws in my chest, and just tore the flesh open. I couldn't believe I was surviving this. How could I be alive through this?
He was in his cell. The cell's got no doors. It's bars from top to bottom. And he weren't going nowhere. 4 foot by 4 foot square cell, carved out in the middle of the rock, which is overlooking like lava. Because when you look down, there's all lava there and people are in it burning.
He was taking him to some like a little pit or a prison area.
Witches in cells. There's cells in there, just like in prison.
There were jail cells like stories going down.
And then I landed on a stone floor in an actual prison cell in hell. Rough-hewn stone walls, bars, filthy, stinking, dirty prison cell, but like a dungeon.
Stacked on top of each other jail cells. And you could see skeletons inside there burning and screaming and crying.
There was rivers, but rivers of fire. And you can see them reaching out with their hands. You can see the skeleton. Those were the lesbians. These are the gay men. that were chained up together, walking in these rivers of fire.
And I saw a river flowing of fire and skeletons chained together with a big black chain. The Lord walked me over to the river and said, look. And in the air, in the flames, was big black letters out of the book of Romans. And it said, lovers of their own flesh more than God's commandments. Men loving men, women loving women with no fear of God. It was the word of God written in the fire.